Kia ora, everybody. I'm with Justin McCabe, isn't it?
Yep, that's right.
Yeah. And if you're wondering who Justin McCabe is, he's the man behind Hunting Spots, which is all of a sudden just flashed up on Facebook. Mate, how have you got around the very difficult algorithms these days? You said you work in IT. Do you know some secrets?
Honestly, in terms of getting on Facebook, I've given up trying to use algorithms. People really, it's the only way. It's the best engagement you can get. It's not as fast, but once you get people sharing your content or just talking about you or sharing, you can't put money on that.
Yeah, yeah. Mate, and did you have any difficulty with having hunting in your name? I know there's plenty of hunting forums, but as an actual page, what was it? How'd you get on there?
I think within the first time I put an advert up, it ran. Okay, second time, I was blocked after that, and I haven't been able to run adverts on Facebook since.
Right. And have you talked to them, or just not worth your time?
I've messaged them. I've sent appeals. I've made explanations like, tell me what I must do. But I think it's just hunting and just that in general. They're not having a bar of it. That's fine.
Yeah.
If they don't want my money, that's fine.
Yeah, I guess. Yes, yeah. So, and of course, the money only comes out as the reach goes out. So, yeah, if they're not, they're banning your post, then they're not taking your money, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. They lost.
Mate, so what did you do last weekend, man? That's what I usually start the podcast with.
So last weekend was pretty boring. About 2 weeks ago, we went out to mate and I went out to the Eka. We were going to try a new angle of this particular spot, and so we went out there, and we get up about 3 o'clock in the morning because we're going to do an overnighter, get in there early. Nothing. We're not seeing any sign. We're not seeing anything, and we're coming around. Eventually, we're just in the river because it's getting quite warm, and it's about midday, and we come across this elderly Cambodian man in the bush by himself. 63-year-old bloke just missioning around the Akateras by himself. So I had a fat yarn with him, and he was a really good bloke. And then, so we were just sort of following some game trails and sort of trying to find the sign. And 3 motorbikes decided to come thrashing down the river, and so we thought, nah, that's it. That's the end of our hunt. We've seen no sign. We've seen another hunter, and we've had motorbikes thrashing around. There's nothing going on here. And so, we didn't even see grass that had been eaten recently. We saw 4 small droppings, and that was it in the whole day.
Yeah. So where's the general area of that? I'm not familiar.
So Akatara is a sort of Upper Hutt region between Kapiti and Upper Hutt.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Wellington Council managed land, and they let people live. They do some forestry up there, so it's a pretty good spot. Had okay success in there, but it seems to be pretty popular, and it's a great place for amateurs to get started. So I've been taking a lot of new hunters out there. So friends, people that are just keen to get into it. Say, hey, come out for an overnighter in the Acres. It's an easy walk in. Plenty of firewood, plenty of, not too far from town. So yeah, it's a pretty good spot to teach people.
Yeah, and you guys hunting? Are you guys camping or in a hut up there?
We're camping. I'm ashamed to say I've been watching a bit of bushcraft, so I've been trying to do a bit of that and taking out a saw and clippers and knives and trying to make little walls and make a fire pit. So we've been doing that and making little teepees, and so we've got a little setup there for when we go out. It's been maybe on average it's been 1 or 2 nights out there. Hopefully we'll do a bit more on the raw. But
working, mate. And so you're based in Wellington normally?
Yeah.
Nice. And so how long have you been hunting? If you're willing to give up your weekend for other people, which is absolutely awesome, man.
Oh, I've been hunting. I used to do a bit of hunting back in South Africa. I wouldn't say a lot. I used to go out with my dad for springbok and kudu and wildebeest and ribbuck. And we used to shoot dussies and jackals and all that stuff. And then coming to New Zealand, I thought, well, it's time to reinvent myself. I was a bit of a chubby bloke and not the healthiest. And I thought, okay, no, I'm going to get into hunting big time in New Zealand, and that's sort of how, yeah, sort of around 2012, end of 2012, I think, is when I bought my first, got my license and my rifle, and been hunting then. Did the deer stalkers hunts course.
Nice.
Yeah, been hunting them. Do like, well, I'd love to do tar and chamois, but it's mostly just deer, pig, and duck.
Wicked, man. And so are you with Lower Hutt branch or Wellington branch? Or?
Wellington branch.
Yeah, oh, nice. Another one representing Wellington branch. Fantastic, man. And yeah, and is that wee thing on your lap a good indicating dog?
In no way, shape, or form. In fact, I was taking out this American bloke. I was taking him out just to show them the actors and get him a. We took him out for the first time, and he decided to run off.
Yeah.
And he was out in the bush by himself for 12 days. And then he decided to wander out of the bush into someone's house and then promptly eat rat poison. So,
oh, gee whiz.
So yeah, he's a survivor, but he's done okay with. He's tried to recover birds when duck hunting, and he's pretty good with that. And around the fire, opening weekend.
Yeah, that's all right.
Oh no, I take it back. I take it back. We took him out goat hunting, goat shooting, and he spotted some goats, and he actually rounded them up. He actually drove them to the bush, chased them around in towards us because he was running circles around them, and did that. And then one guy later on shot one, and it ran off. He did that adrenaline run, and he bounded after and went straight for it. So actually, yeah, for hunting goats, he's great.
Yeah, and have you ever put them onto rabbits? I know that's what they're renowned for.
Oh, I would love to, but I've seen how he reacts around farm animals like sheep and cow, and he would go for that first before the rabbit.
Oh, bugger. How old?
He is an SPCA special. He must have got, he must be about 8 or 10 now.
Yeah, and just happy to sit on your lap.
Yeah, otherwise he's going to be barking at the neighbor's dog and the birds and the tuis and the kangaroo. Yeah,
Mate, so, give us the massive differences from here in South Africa in terms of hunting. Obviously, like you said, when you go here, you just buy a license. If you want to, you join NZDA. If you want to, you go on a hunts course. But realistically, either you go out by yourself or you find a mate like people are with you that are willing to take you out. How does that contrast? And I'm sure it's immensely to South Africa.
I mean, South African hunting is more family. You have to have like a family, like an uncle. I used to go hunting on my uncle's farm, and we would go out there for a couple of, actually like a week.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty much flat. A couple of little hills, koppies we call them, sort of mesas as the Americans call them. And we would, if we're doing springbok, we would all be sitting around the paddock, which is, the paddock would probably be about the size of Lower Hutt,
Mm-hmm.
maybe a bit smaller. And you would have herds of 150, 200 animals running in front of you. And they would just move around because of all the hunters, and you just whistle or loudly, and they would come to a stop. And
Shoot one.
yeah, it's a lot easier, and you can, because it's flat, you can just jump in a ute and then drive over and pick it up and chuck it in the back of the ute. Otherwise, unlike here where you shoot it and have to lug it for hours by yourself. So
So you said it was your uncle's farm. What was the main livestock, and what was the place for the wild animals?
They were mixed in. So it was a sheep farm. I think it was, I forget which is bigger, if it's hectares or acres.
Acres are bigger, yeah.
I think if I recall what my father said, I think it was 57,000 acres.
Wow.
So it's large.
Yeah.
And I mean, again, I might be wrong, but so we would have a couple of big paddocks with a mixture of springbok and sheep, and and he would, the kudu would just come and go as they play. The wildebeest he would introduce, the ribbuck would just be there. Jackals, lynxes, they would just be there. You know, we're talking. We could. We used to go because we had there's laborers there. We would go. The kids would usually go pick up a couple of 22s on the back of the ute, and we would drive around, and we would shoot dussies and spring hares the whole night or whole day. And we'd fill up a whole ute with these animals and just get them and cook them.
Yeah.
Give them to the staff to cook. But yeah, so that's just a mixed in, and it's great fun. I mean, it's much nicer hunting there, I'd have to say. It's not
Yeah.
as rewarding, I'll give you that. It's much more like when you've got something here in New Zealand, you've earned it. You know, it's blood, sweat, tears. You've walked your ass off. You're aching, everything sore, and you've still got to come back and process it and clean all your gear
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm still yet to get one in the wild. So on New Year's Eve, I'm going to go for a good sort of 5 days up in the Kawekas, and I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to do next weekend, whether that's go to the back of a farm or go to the spot I've been or have a wee recce in partway through of where I'm going to go at New Year's. But yeah, it's like I say, it's going to be hella rewarding when it all pays off, because it's been 1 and 2 day events so far, and it's getting better and better, and spooking things and getting like you were saying about where you were last weekend trying to find the sign, getting better at picking areas. So going on the New Zealand hunting and shooting forum, the spot I'm going to had some good raps on it. So I'm hopeful. And I was speaking to someone that works for Doc in the area. He was saying that the creek where I'm going to head to has some good slips with some good animals. So hopefully I see them and I can say back to him he wasn't wrong. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even tell you how many times I've had heavily armed walks. I've shown my rifle, like, the amount of flora and fauna my rifle has seen is, I mean, it rivals most New Zealanders, let's be honest. So,
yeah, and if you go to places like the Garwick, not the Garwick, it's the Kaimois, you end up bringing some of that flora back with you.
you get hitchhikers along the way, man. It's just everywhere.
Yeah. Going back to your uncle's property, how were the livestock, the sheep looked after? Were they sort of driven around looking for feed, or were they free roaming? And what was the aim of looking after the sheep?
Oh, the sheep was where he made his money. So he ran merinos.
Yeah.
So he did sharing. So he would run massive herds.
Mm-hmm.
And they're having drought at the moment, but that's where they made most. That's where he did. Actually, a strange connection to New Zealand. That farm is the wool presses come out of Masterton.
Yeah.
He bought them. His great grandfather bought them before the Second World War, and they're still in use today. But it's sheep farm. What else? Hasn't ran much else besides. And he does a bit of lets private hunters or professional hunters come in and bring clients to shoot kudu and wildebeest and stuff.
So with the sheep, is it a case of just letting them out there to grow the wool and then muster them back in? Is it?
Yeah. So there was have staff on horseback and they will just herd them all up. No dogs there.
Fantastic. And are they at risk of injury or death from any? I don't know if you call it pests or what. Like you said, the lynx.
Jackals, lynx. People stealing livestock. Birds of prey taking lambs.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So.
And so, are the staff out there protecting them, or it's just?
No. I mean, you can't. I mean, it's when you're talking with that many thousands and thousands of hectares.
Yeah.
It's impossible. It's physically impossible to. So they would just, if you lose some, you lose some. It's survival of the fittest. Whoever is the strongest survives.
Wow. And so, whereabouts in general regions of Africa was that?
It's in the Grafrenik Karoo region, so it's like very it's desert or semi-desert. Think of, what would be a good example? I forgot. It's like lots of thorny bushes, hardwoods, very, it's a hard environment.
Yeah. So the perfect sheep, those merinos, man, people think they're bad enough up in the tussock.
Oh man, they're hardy. I mean, oddly enough, those merinos originally came. I know this because it was my great grandfather who introduced them. He brought them from Australia, Tasmania, on a
Yeah,
farm called Wanganella, and introduced them into the Eastern Cape. So
that's them.
he
And
brought
so,
them up.
yeah,
He
you
brought them up called Wanganella. So still to this day, we've got that Australian, New Zealand, South African connection.
mint. And so, yeah, you know, you're knowing stuff like that. Are you quite a historian yourself?
Oh, it's more of just something I found interesting. Like, my wife reminds me that I can remember utter nonsense, but or like historical facts, but remembering to bring the washing in or to get the clothes out is just, it's just beyond me. It just
Yeah.
never occurs to me.
No, that's awesome, man. And so you're one of the first people to come onto this call and know exactly how to operate the thing. You said you work in IT. So what is the day-to-day life of Justin?
So I do IT at the Reserve Bank of New Zealand.
Yeah,
And so I'm a desktop engineer, so sort of not answer the phones, just above that a little bit. I do all the problems and the harder stuff that has the head scratches and other people throw their hands up. I sort of tackle those problems.
yeah. And so what sort of systems are you working with?
Oh, I mean, we're talking Active 80, Exchange, Win10. We just did 1809 upgrades for all the machines. We did a whole bunch of stuff. So Zoom,
Yeah. So is that like all the stuff that the staff are using and they go, mine's not working? That's where you, like I said, you don't answer the phone, but you make sure
mine
that.
normally it's sort of it's when the people that do like the level 1 and 2 stuff go, oh, throw their hands up, then I sort of step in and try and fix that. Yeah.
So turning it off and on's already been done.
Oh, you laugh, but I still come in and just say to the guys, "Did you tell the person to turn it off and on again?" Oh, I'll try that. And you laugh. I mean, 60% of the time it works every time. And
Yeah.
I, my go-to, if that, it's like if you can't, if turning off and off and on doesn't fix it, and you're still looking on page 2 of Google for a solution, then you've got a real problem. So
So can you tell us, all of us people out here that just use these computers and don't have any idea what's going on behind, what is it about turning it off and on? And even like right now I'm running a Apple SE and it has a fit and I turn it off and on and it runs again. What is it about it? Is it just need a reboot?
something might get stuck. Let's say there's a, so I mean, I don't know code,
Yeah.
but let's say there's a process or service that's run and it's not running properly, or it's got to a state where it's turned itself off, or it's meant to turn itself off and it hasn't. So just turning itself off, just turning it back on, it puts it to a known state.
Yeah. Yeah. It lets it start again if it's got stuck in its process or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's my go-to for everything. I mean,
Yeah. Mate, I'm a big fan of NZDA, and I've just been at the not kindy daycare Christmas party, and we had our president there and another guy there. We were talking about how it was a covert NZDA meeting. What for you was the appeal to head along and meet up with some like-minded people at the NZDA Wellington, which are doing awesome things. We've had Gwen Thurlow on here, who's actually a champ. What was it, the appeal for you?
so it's got a. I'll give you the answer. It's a long answer. So
Good man.
I did the originally I signed up to do the hunts course because my wife was adamant to go, to New Zealand, you gotta learn how to do it.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. And I'll come back to that because doing the hunts course actually did save my life, and I can vouch for that what they're teaching. And then I started making hunting spots, and I wasn't really involved, and my membership lapsed, and then I started getting more involved in trying to get hunting spots going, and I was sort of hearing around the peripheral that Doc was looking for a solution, or potentially looking for a solution that was impartial. That wasn't going to be like gung ho hunter, anti Doc, anti whatever. So I sort of try to make myself impartial. So that's why I wasn't really getting involved too much with NZDA. I was going every now and again, and going to the range every now and again. But it was more, and then sort of after a while, I just went, screw it. I just signed back up and paid my fees. And it's just be able to talk to people about hunting, and just have that access to that sort of camaraderie, and just sort of when you can bounce an idea off, or talk about gear and that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's what I'm still getting used to the concept of it. I've never been much of a club person, more of a solo. I like to be by myself. So it's still getting used to it. But yeah, generally the benefits have been the hunts. My main benefit has been the hunts course and what it's taught me.
Yeah, and so go into how did it save your life?
Okay, have you done the hunts course?
No, I haven't. But yeah, there was also when I was starting out in Christchurch about, or even before I got to Christchurch, so in uni at about 2013. I thought, well, I'm going pretty slow at this. Maybe I should join NZDA and do the hunts course. That was, one of the big appeals. So yeah, you go tell your story, mate.
So they teach you one part of the hunts course is when they teach you how to do if you fall in the river and it's pulling you down.
Yeah.
And so they give this example where you've fallen into the river and you're going towards a tree. Now, for most of us, and I know I used to, and everyone I've talked to, is they would say you would go head legs first down a river. But no, you don't want to go legs first. You want to go head first down a river. And why do I want to go head first down a river? And the point being is if you come up to a tree, let's say this is a tree, and you're going down legs first, you're going to get your limbs stuck because you've got a big joint there, and it's going to get stuck. It's like a big on something, and it'll pull you down if you've got a pack on, and it can drown you. So I was duck hunting in the opening of the season, first season by myself, first time hunting by myself, and I've taken way too much gear in the middle of the dark, and I'm thinking, okay, I've set up in this little blind, I've shot a swan, came in, cool, gotta go recover it. Now I've been walking up and down this river the whole day, loving my life and enjoying this. And I went to go recover this, and it's just part I haven't walked before. Full waders, full gear, little backpack on in my shoddy. And I stepped one, fine, step two, fine, step three, woof, into the river, and it just took me straight away. Rifle down the bottom of the river, and I'm going straight towards this tree. And I just remembered in my head, it went, turn around. So I turned around, and it was a big tree and it had lots of branches. And if I hadn't turned around and gone head first and pulled my way through this tree, I wouldn't be sitting here today. Pulled myself out of because they took you to take your backpack off and use it as sort of as a weight to pull yourself up because you're tired. And so I did that. I was quite tired at this point because adrenaline was pumping, and now I've pulled myself through. And I've got waders that are filled with water, so it's basically one big heavy sausage, basically, and a soaked backpack and a massively soaked jacket. I'm absolutely freezing now. I get out of the water. So, oh gosh, my shotgun's sitting at the bottom of the river, and I'm like, oh no, I've just bought this thing. I'm not going to leave it there. So I stripped down into my tidy whities and just walk up and dive into the river. Pick up my shotgun, let the river take me down again, climb through the tree again, and climb out again with my shotgun. Put my jacket out, climb back into my waders, and keep hunting.
And now you're alive to tell the tale just because of a simple thing from a hunts course. I love how it's just like something you'd never thought of and something you hope you'd never use, but tree or shit, that's what I do. It's amazing how they in a survival situation the brain can kick in like that. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, that saved my life. So yeah, happy to tell that to anyone who asks, because man, it was scary. But
no, it's good. Mate, you said with setting up hunt spots, you sort of felt that Doc wanted somebody objective. What came first, the Doc or the hunt spots, or in conversations?
How hunting? I'll give you the story.
Yeah.
How hunting spots came to be is that one day I was out hunting ducks with a mate, and we had, because we got all this public mai-mais here in Wellington, in the Wairarapa, we had tried a couple of mai-mais, but we hadn't tried this one before. So we had set a hype. Like, okay, this is where we're going. and so we packed up all our gear. We had all the decoys and the dog and everything. We're missioning through the swamp to get to this Mai. But now it's taking a hell of a lot longer. It's deeper and boggier and more fallen trees, and we're slogging. 7:30 comes around, and as we're just seeing the outline of the Mai in the morning sun, we see someone shooting from the Mai. Oh, fuck. So, and there were people in the Mai. Like, there's got to be a better way to do this. So we went and shot the Mai. We got talking, and then we're sort of mucking around online. And that's when I was I looked at and found that Doc has all this information, all these GeoJSONs and shapefiles available online, or all the data that they've collected through the years. So I went, okay, well, I wonder what we can do with that. And we started sort of mucking around and teaching ourselves how to do JavaScript for GIS tools and Leaflet and Mapbox and stuff like that. And we started just sort of playing with the overlays of where we could put things. And we bought a domain name and put that out the first version, and sort of the people were relatively okay with it. And when it came down to spend money, myself and another guy, we went our separate ways, and I went this way and spent some money on it and got some coders to help make it a bit better. And so then we started reaching out to like Fish and Game into Doc and started pitching the idea of data collection and making people aware of where they can hunt, because let's be honest, people are time poor. They need to know where to hunt. I mean, and if there's going to be what the population is there a trail there? Is there a hut there? How do I plan my hunt out, etc. And that's where it sort of started. Is I wanted to know where to hunt. Here's all this information, put it on a map, and I wanted to make sure that if I'm going to go hunting somewhere, I ideally want to know if it's worth my while.
Mm. And so, how does that connect in with their maps? Because that's as far as I've gone on the Doc website with all the overlays of like the trail and the hut and stuff. How does your sort of program connect in with that?
So we've got all the trails and the huts, but we've also got the areas that you're allowed to hunt.
Mm-hmm.
We've also got the distributions and densities of species found across New Zealand.
Oh, wow. And so
yeah.
Where are you getting that information from? Field ages and stuff.
Yeah, that's from Doc as well.
Wow. Yeah.
So and a couple of other and one other place, and yeah. So then we put it out there, and we sort of thought, well, how do we get people to use this? And we thought, we'll put businesses and stores and taxidermists so that if they want to go hunting and they want to go find somewhere, well, where's all the businesses? Here's the businesses. Here's your local taxidermist or butcher. Put all that on there, and then we thought, well, we want to have people to be able to make intention forms without having to sit there and manually write them out. And that's where sort of the money ran out. And we got a basic intention form. So you sign up to hunting spots and you can sort of plan out your hunts. Like, I want to hunt this region here on this date to this time. This is where I'm going to camp. And then I can share it with someone. So if I don't come back, I haven't clicked off my EPIRB. Where do the search and rescue start? Well, here's a map. This is the longitude and latitude of where he said that he was going to be hunting. Start looking there.
Oh, that's awesome. What's been the response like where I am, the Seeker Foundation, Fiordland, also there's now the TAR Foundation that have their app to log TAR shooting. What's it like trying to knock on those doors?
Wow. How deep down this rabbit hole do I want to go? So I originally, I was pitching this idea before it became a thing.
Yeah.
And I know a bit more. I won't go into too much detail, but I want to build that app so the hunters can use it to collect information. So hunters don't have to rely on DOC or Game Animal Council. They can rely on someone they know who is a hunter and who wants to actually look after information. So, for example, if you plan a hunt out and you put little spots of like, I shot a deer here and I saw some sign here. I made the site and I don't even have access to it.
Yeah.
So, we really want to be able to make sure that when information is shared, it's on your terms and on how you want to share it.
Yeah.
So that's really how I want hunting spots to be that company that makes that app, and so hunters can collect information and be engaged in part of the animal management population. Because let's be honest, the government organization is going to come in, they're going to do like most of them, and they're going to go a bit too far. And if we're not actively involved in telling where animals are being taken and what densities, but then only really the people to blame are us, because we're not putting ourselves into the domain of where these animals are, how they're being managed.
Yeah, man. No, you're exactly right. And I've been speaking with a few of the Aussies. One in New South Wales, who I see now that on private land you don't need the hunting license anymore, but still they've got really tough time getting access to public land. And you know, at the same time, they're not allowed to go hunting on public land, yet a whole bunch of animals are being culled, which makes sense because you know, they're in drought forever, and of course now the fires will be devastating those public land, but that's a different thing. And then the guys in Melbourne, which have awesome access to public land, they're still not, you know, times of the year where things are being poisoned and times of the year when things are being shot out, and you know, this narrative that there's too many deer and things like that, and they're going, well, hang on a minute, we're, you know, Josh Rogers was talking about the dog guys, you know, that they're taking out a number of animals every weekend for sort of 6 months at a time. And like I said, if we're the ones going, hey, we do this, and it's like, prove it. Well, then at the same time, when we ask, well, where are you basing your numbers from? And like, oh, we did some estimates. This is what we think. Well, then again, it's like, oh, that's the frustrating part. So I love exactly what you're saying there, that we need to take responsibility for it, and then that puts the boot back on their feet. Like, well, here's our numbers. Where are yours?
And it works both ways. I mean, they can say to us, I mean, we know the bush. I mean, I know the bush that I can go to on a regular basis, and most hunters in New Zealand will have their spots that they go to that they know like the back of their hand, or they can sleepwalk it. And we know our backyards. So by enabling us to go out and shoot, if you tell us and say, hey, we think there's a large population of fallow deer in this region, and put it on a map and say, please go out and cull these animals within this region, I think people are going to do it.
Yeah.
So, and how much that costs the taxpayer?
None.
Nothing at all. It costs no one anything. It costs the hunter his petrol and his time and his ammunition and his food and whatever promises he has to make his wife. And, and that's it. And it's cheaper. It's probably more. And hunters. It's not just about collecting animal data. I mean, it's not just animal data we're thinking. Like, for example, let's say I'm out in the bush or I'm walking a trail and I come across, there's a tree on the trail. Well, why can't I collect that data? Why can't I give that to Doc and say, hey, there's a tree down on the trail, or the bridge is out, or the hut has been burnt down, or whatever. That's information that we can gather. Let us gather it. And I can understand the trepidation of people not wanting to be involved with someone like Doc that's going to do it, because they think, oh, Doc's going to find your spot and go in there and kill all the animals. That's why Hunting Spots wants to be that person, and not. So there's that impartial third party. We're not Doc, and we're not Game Animal Council. We're Hunting Spots. Justin, and there's questionably not tidy garage, and just some bloke.
Yeah, man. And also, you know, like, and I need to get somebody on to talk me through it a little bit more, because my understanding is pretty poor. But the likes of McJosh Plateau here in the Kawikas that I've been into, that's on the edge of forestry land, that's just getting covered and taken over by Contorta. And I was lucky enough to have a patient who's involved with the Hawke's Bay. I think they're called like Biodiversity Society, and he was just saying how like Hawke's Bay's got the worst biodiversity in the country, and I brought up the fact of Contorta to him. He was telling me, because he was a ecologist from I think he was in Wellington for a while, and he was saying about how fast it can move in the South Island and things like that. And you know, Chris Cross came to our rugby club, hunting club, and told us about contorta in the backcountry, and it's kind of this, well, what do we do thing. Yeah, if you're got an app and go, here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. It's this is a tree, or this is a seedling, or this is a juvenile. These ones are all seedlings. Let's get in and clear it away, or this area might be too late to do something about, or it's those sort of things that as hunters, like for me going into the native bush, I was like, what is all this shit? That's why it's a pest, because it just scars up the landscape. And I would have loved to be like, hey, to tell something. You also get out of the bush and you go, who the heck do I tell? And that was the other shame of what Chris Cross said. There's no doc manager at the moment in Hawke's Bay. So who do you tell? What do you do? Well, punch it into an app. There we go.
But it's also you've got to make it worth the person's while. Like, why am I putting this information? What is it in it for me? Because as much as we can ask people to be altruistic and do it for the greater good, most people are. Let's be honest. We always want to get something out of it, even if it's some acknowledgement or something. And that's fine. And that's just human nature. And I've got nothing wrong with that. And that's an opportunity, because if we were given that mantle and say, hey, go forth and make. How I'm seeing it is, if you're collecting information, you should be getting access to areas, or you have entry into ballots, or so rather than having this lucky draw ballots, you have to earn your ballot, or that's just an idea, or you give 10 bits of information that can be confirmed, and you get 5% of your hunting and fishing or gun city purchase or something like that. And there's so much that can be done, and a lot of people, I know I want to do it, and I just find it just coming across, or like I really wanted to be involved in Predator Free New Zealand, and I made a 10-page submission on being involved, and I got a 2-paragraph answer and saying it's not the right data that we're looking for. And I'm like, okay, so pest management and data collection is not what you're looking for. Okay, but then it's just I think much like, to make it topical, much like the police aren't listening to the residents of Whakatane regarding White Island, I don't think people are the government are listening to the people that spend time out in the bush and hearing. There's too much reliance on these bodies to be involved. I mean, that's where I would like to see more NZDA being involved. I know they are heavily involved, but on a more grassroots level, in getting people to collect data, asking people to be involved and have conversations about, what did you take? Let's get that out there. We can submit that task. Make sure you do that. Or we saw whatever growing there. That's little things like that to earn that trust. So there's definitely a lot we could be doing, and I know a lot of people want to. It's just a lot of infighting. I won't get into too much detail about that whole app from
It's funny you're saying about like infighting and all the people that are involved, and you want something out of it. Even in our own backyard, the part of the reason why I'm going to this area at New Year's is there's a big loop of traps out there. Most of them are the Go Native ones, and as Hastings Deer Stalkers, we wanted to take responsibility for a line, and it was kind of like, oh yeah, great, here's the traps, and then somebody else comes up and comes and grabs the traps. And you're like, what are you doing? I thought we're doing this, and it's like, oh yeah, we're here to get involved, and then they pick up 2 traps. And then there's the Kiwi people, they pick up 2 traps, and then we pick up all the other ones, and it's like, so you've got 2 traps and you've got 2 traps, so this whole thing's now yours as well. And then it's like, and then there's kind of no order to it and no monitoring to it, and
who's doing what? Where's the information? What was taken? How many were killed?
And going back to the like intermediaries, it's like, well, I'm going to go there, walk the lines, look at all the traps, have a look and see if I can see if there's any of the because I know the Go Natives have a ticker over thing to let you know how many they've got, and make sure that there's nothing dead lying underneath the trap and all that sort of stuff. And then it's like, so I do that, maybe take some photos or write something down, but then who do I give it to? It's like, I'll go back to our president People must be like, yeah, awesome.
And
But
then the big problem is, like, even though you've taken that photo and you've said where it is, from an impartial point of view, can you trust that information is accurate?
yeah,
Like, is then that's what something like that's why again, I think this was my idea, and I did pitch when Doc was making that particular app. Is that all images need to be captured from within the application.
yeah,
So that's something that we want to do in hunting spots is when you capture the information, you're capturing it in such a way that you have to use the app. You can't import information. It has to be done through the app so that you're encrypting it, you're timestamping it, you're geolocating it. So every bit of information is all done that way so it can be proved that it was captured where and when in location. So it's so much to think about. And not a lot of people have opinions on it, but
yeah. Just on that. So your cell phone, like I know because I upload stuff to Instagram that I've taken elsewhere, and it usually will come through with the location of the photo, even if I've been out of service of that. How does that work, and how would an app load or open when it's in an area that quite
so
possibly doesn't have internet? Like I know that you can still follow your GPS even though you don't have reception, but
when
what's
you're
the
taking
deal
a
with that?
photo, it's also you can turn it off. But most people have it on. Is where you take a photo and it captures the long lat in a geolocation.
Yeah.
It will associate that to your photo. So the app that we want is like, for example, I plan my trip out. I would say I want these layers. I want this, the trails. I want the long and lat. I want the topographical information, and then I would sync that to my mobile device. Again, if we had the resources, we would probably be building it now, which we don't. That's how we see it. Is it would sit there cached, waiting for you to use it, and so it would make sure that like it would be waiting to be used, and then as soon as it runs out of signal, now you're using the last cache version of that information.
Yeah. And so then whatever you're looking at just to sort of inlays into that cache data, is that right?
Yeah, so all you'd be looking at would be just a plain image of which is sort of a GIS image with your little dot on your planned out locations, and you can start triggering. I saw a deer here. I saw some sign here. I shot a deer here. And and so you can start not only collecting that information that you want to share, but collecting information so that when you're developing your sort of recon or scouting of an area, you start to build a picture of like, oh, I've seen fresh sign here, capture that information. I saw droppings here, capture that information. I spooked something here, capture it, because that's all stuff that a lot of people would have from experience and to going out on a regular basis. But if you start to collate that information into a single resource, you can start to get an idea of what times and what sort of movements of animals within a certain area that you, the consumer, can start to understand your local animal population. And if you kill something and if you want to share that information, then that's your call.
Yeah. And so do you think that the point of difference of this, I'm just thinking about my GPS, like that's what I do. If you zoomed out enough, it looks a mess. But when you zoom in, you can see the data and you can write the odd thing. But is the point of difference with having this in an app is that it instantly grabs all of these points, like time, you say, date, you say, location, images. My GPS doesn't have that capability, and then it's there. And then when you go to do that zoomed out view, you have a more complete picture. Yeah.
So you can start to like if you start to like we're putting a whole bunch of bits of information onto a map, and we're sort of saying, well, here we shot something. Here's the animal sign. Here's a photo of an animal. This is where we camped. This is where we shot. Then we can get a better idea because we're capturing all that is available on every single smartphone. It's there waiting for you. Every single person can be involved in this, and with portable batteries and putting into flight mode or extreme power saving mode, you can get a couple of days before you need a charge. So
and so would that be something that it'd be a sharing platform, or is it your own platform, like your individual data set?
It's up
Or
to you.
yeah, okay, right. So you could opt in, you could be private or public.
So we're thinking at the moment. So if a hunting spots, if I send you a map, right,
Yeah,
then you have access to the map, and whatever I change is not a map, a trip. If I send you a trip and say this is the January the 1st trip, and I plan out everything on that trip, and I share it to you, then you can do the same.
yeah,
And you can chuck information onto it as well, and I can chuck in. We can both see other information. But if I make a new trip,
it's gone.
but so I'm still trying to get to that point where I've got a couple ideas for if we can get to the next version of what is shareable data and what is my data,
Hmm.
and so how would we share locations, how would we share kills, how would we share animal sightings, etc. So that's sort of where we've kind of been trying to make inroads with dark and fishing games. So fishing game, we want to show people where the mai-mais are and where the animal populations are and what species and what amount you can take per day, etc., etc.
Yeah, yeah.
And we want to build that for fishing game, and that's something I've been trying to sort of talking to them about for the last it would be more than 3 years now. I've been talking to them about it.
And I guess there's that sort of that quick reaction or that defensive reaction is like, oh well, the data's already there when you get your license. It's written on the website. If you just go into our website and you find your area and it shows you what's in the bag and it shares all the dates and you're like, yeah, I get that. Great, it's an awesome job. But this is nearly 2020, and hey, I can go. Today is da da da. I'm allowed to do this. I'm in this area exactly. This is the jurisdiction I fall under. Therefore, this is my bag, and we're away. That's today.
Exactly.
Not shit. I forgot to look.
I've been duck hunting now for a while, and it's seldom that I will ever read the manual. I'll look at the only thing I'll look at every single year is how many I can take in an area, and that is it.
Yeah.
Don't care about anything else. I need to know. I don't want to sit there and have to like look through maps or try and find some black and white pictures. There's something here. It's like there's just a block on a very vague map of where to go. Okay, yeah, I'll find that. Definitely find that when I'm exhausted at 4 in the morning and pitch black with a headlamp on, with waders and camo and plastic ducks in a bag. And, that's going to be really easy to spot.
Yeah. So just going slight sidestep on that. Are you one of these people that really does, when it comes to duck hunting, want to go hunting, as opposed to the pond that's set up, ready to go? It's got a house. It's got that's set up with cooking and it's around mates. Like I'm sort of in that mind of what do I want out of hunting as well. Like I love filling the freezer for venison, but at the same time, that becomes like an hour thing to do in it, and it's almost like a quick fix. Whereas I'm so stoked getting 2 days in the bush and walking out nothing.
I mean, I said, what my son we call it going green. You're going in green. It's there's no, but it would be not. Look, I had one mate, so I don't really speak to anymore, and when he goes duck hunting, he's got like the whole big pond, and they prep it, and they've got the whole family there, and it's a whole big thing. And it's all perfectly manicured. There's us with 2 Waratahs and a camo sort of whatever it is, and sort of trying to make our own little mai-mais in there, or building a couple of weeks beforehand and trying to get it. And there's benefits for both, but there's something about that building it by yourself and it becoming yours, and you get to understand the personality of it. And if it's a family tradition, that's great. But if you haven't had that lineage of like it being such a handed down thing, then you make your own thing. And if I'm going to go hunting, I want the experience. I don't want it to be easy.
Yeah. No, cool. And mate, you brought up the fact that you're doing a little bit of bushcraft. one of my early podcasts is with Ben Logan, who's running sort of wilderness expeditions down there at Snow Farm and around Wanaka and stuff. And I've had Kai Whanau on, who's done Naked and Afraid a couple of times, and she's just done some race in the Himalayas and all sorts of crazy stuff, and been a stunt woman. And then Adam Kavner in Australia, he just drives around the outback and bare feet catching dragons and stuff. Like, what is it? Yeah, I don't know why he does it. We had, when I was in Australia, we had a dragon in our backyard, and I said, "How do I catch it, mate?" And he's like, "Oh, very slowly. Be careful of its claws. It might bite you. It probably won't kill you, but it might get infected. So just be careful." And I was like, "Mate, no way." But yeah, what is it about that? And I love it too. My Instagram discovery page is full with guys sort of whittling wood and making fires and bow drills and stuff like that. What is it for you?
I think it comes down to like, being out in the bush a couple of times and like not taking a tent. I'm just going to do like fly camping,
Yeah.
And like I did something like, oh, we need a windbreak, or we need to have a fire pit, or I just want to be off the ground because I don't be so cold, and then sort of I didn't know I wanted to do it until I stumbled across something and went, oh, hang on a second, we've got lots of wood here, we've got lots of rocks and algae and grass, and I could do that. And then you go out there and go, I can't do that at all.
Yeah, man.
So it's just more trying to make it a little bit so that when I go out there, don't have to carry so much with me.
Yeah.
So I've got I've got a little raised platform. I've got a little windbreak, so I don't have to carry an extra tarp or fly. So that's a couple of grams less that I have to carry. So if it's sitting there waiting, it's made out of trees and ferns and moss and all that, and it just grows over itself and just is part of the scenery. Great.
Yeah. Greg Kogu, he's a big one for packing lightweight, and he's got this polythene tarp that he does for fly camping.
Yeah, I went to a Deerstalkers chat with him.
Oh, yeah.
And I think his entire gear was more than his rifle. It was less than his rifle.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, and even to the level of his shoes, he's like, oh, well, the Deerstalkers just used to run around in volleys. So I'll get some nice lightweight Solomon trail runners, and I'll be happy with wet feet. I just wear shorts, so I'll be happy with wet feet. And I was like, full credit to you, mate. Go for it. But yeah, and it's the same. Going back to the Deerstalkers, and you can get caught up looking at gear, and it's not going to make your hunt any better. But at least you'll be comfortable. But at the same time, I guess that's one of the awesome things about hunting in this country as well. We've got these guys that just went out there with a like a little sack on their back with a little bit of rice in it, and then it was maybe a potato or so, and they just, like I say, built a bivvy and found a rock cave or found a rock bivvy, and that was them for weeks on end. So yeah, it's easy to call yourself a pussy in New Zealand, that's for sure.
Oh hell yeah! I mean, you think I wanted to take a whole bunch of South Africans hunting, and just to see the eyes widen and go, oh my gosh, we have to sleep. So basically, I mean, you're paying top dollar to live like a hobo. That's hunting in New
Zealand. Yeah, mate. It's tramping for sure. Like the actual meaning of it, being a tramp, having something on your back, and that's you. That's your life for, whether it be one night or 5 nights. And
you put it into the washing machine, you turn it on, and it just goes instantly black.
I think the one of the best things about an expedition is that first shower, and before you get into it, and that's to you running your nails down your face. Got to remember that people are listening to this, and just seeing how much can get underneath your nails.
Oh yeah. Or after that long, you come back. I still remember it now. You come back with that animal on your back, and you walked and you suffered, and you've gone up hills and down hills and slipped, and you come back and your wife looks at you and goes, "Where are you hanging that?" "By the garage." "Okay, don't make a mess. I don't want any blood on the ground." You go and you cut it up and you get your gear out and put it in the wash, and then you get that boom, that beer after the hunt. Oh,
Never tastes so good.
oh, jeez, it's just the best beer. It's like after a long day fishing or a long day hunting, just that first beer, that's all
Nice.
you need.
Mate, and being South African, what do you like on the old biltong?
I love my biltong.
Yeah.
I'm making a batch of it. I've got a batch of it hanging right now.
Yeah. So, mate, what's your setup? I've heard plenty of people just saying a water box, a normal fan, and a light bulb. Is that where you're at?
That's all you need.
Yeah.
All you need, and time.
Yeah. In time, mate. I don't know if it was a Zimbabwean thing or just something that was a bit different, but the way I like it is just absolutely covered in salt, so it squeals. Have you got a recipe like that?
Um, we got a recipe because we would in South Africa when we would go hunting, we would shoot a lot of springbok. I mean, we're talking between my dad and I, we would probably shoot 20 plus.
Wow. Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit and make that biltong. So we usually just get a butcher to do it. So we would try a butcher's and we'd get a sort of some meat. Their recipe was good, but now here in New Zealand we've got to make it ourselves. And because biltong was ridiculously expensive, we're sort of still coming to terms of what our recipe is. So we've got
Yeah.
some pre-packaged spice, but then we're adding our own Worcestershire sauce. We're adding what's it, a Wild West Worcestershire, the
Uh-huh.
local brand. They make a ghost chilies. We're making like a ghost chili one, and so we're just mucking around and trying to see what works. And it's really just trial and error. And you can't screw it up. It's still going to be dried meat. It's still going to taste good. It's just what flavor is on the outside.
Yeah. So who'd you say that Wild West Worcestershire was?
So it's a local company, Wild West Worcestershire.
Yeah.
I saw them at the Seeker show about 2 years ago, and I bought some of it for me and my dad. And the guy that runs that is possibly, I don't know what, he must have just been born into a bath of pure joy and happiness. I've never met someone with just the most enthusiastic and happy outlook on life. And he was just, I couldn't help myself when I'm buying your product because you're just so nice. I can't help myself.
Nice. Yeah, Jamie Oliver, he had a series that was about like the British Empire and all the different influences that came out of that. And one of the episodes was that he was in Birmingham and he went into leap errands. And yeah, I think like the amount of love and obviously there's a secret recipe and all of those types of things, and just like the little minute details that go into something that you then put in a barrel and leave it in. And I guess you must have to go in and taste it and see if it's ready or what. But yeah, like I think like Worcester sauce is just like would be an absolute passion project. It's almost like brewing, whiskey or vodka or something like that. Eh?
Seriously, after this chat, go onto the website of Wild West Worcester and just get some. It is so good. It's a bit more expensive than the regular stuff, but man, it's for a local brand, so good.
Awesome, mate. No, I'm a big fan. One of the I was talking to Billy Dossi. He said, "What's your favorite recipe?" And I said, "Oh, I've got this lamb ragu recipe that I use with venison mince, and yeah, you put like a healthy dose of Worcester sauce on that, and then a little bit more. So yeah, it'd be good to get some New Zealand play on the Worcester sauce. Was he British dude or nah?
I think he's a New Zealand guy.
Yeah.
He's got his whole family there. His mom taught him how to do it, so it's a whole family thing. It's awesome. You'll love it. It's just
Yeah, man.
I'm not getting any money for this.
No.
I've got a good story talking about coming segueing into food. So
Yeah.
last duck season, my mate and I, we went out. We thought, oh, we're gonna go big this season. We got a 12-man tent. We invited a whole bunch of mates. We got an excessive amount of beer, and we thought we were gonna make a potjie. Now, you know what a potjie is?
Nah, no.
So a potjie is basically it's like a wood fire slow cooked meal.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started this potjie at about, I think I finished work at 4. We were there at about 5:30, and we were sitting up tent, and we put the fire on, and we started cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And cooking for the next 8 hours.
Yeah.
2 boys. in the bush, next to a pond, waiting for ducks, drinking heavily, because that's how you do a potjie. I mean, I don't think anyone's eaten a potjie before sober because it takes so long.
And is it in a stove or is it just over the flames?
Cast iron pot.
Yeah.
Like a witch's cauldron.
Yeah.
I thought I cleaned it out, but there was obviously a little bit of rust in this pot.
Yeah.
So I made this like venison. It was red deer, and it was just the most amazing potjie. And we just ate. We had rice and gorged ourselves, and eating this. And it was really the only food that we had for dinner, like that we had brought. We brought a couple of snacks, but that was going to be our big one. Everyone was doing all our food and meals into it. But I think the rust had seeped into the food because it wasn't much, but there's a little bit of rust at the bottom that I thought it didn't get. And man, our stomachs were not happy with us. So we're mid duck hunting. Oh, Jesus. And the stomach made the same sound as a duck caller, and yes, we're out of our waders, pulling them down on our knees, and obviously the second that you do that, the mallards are coming in and they're diving and they're cupping their wings and they're landing in front of you, and you're losing a heart and a lung, and that was great. I wouldn't change it for the world.
it's where you need a log drop with a door on it so that you can go from there. That'd make the story even more tops.
Oh, it was good, didn't we? So yeah, it was. But yeah, we had all this food, we had all this beer, we had big tents, we had invited all these people, no one turned up.
Oh, mate, what was the beer? Because that could have been the culprit after all. Was it some sort of hefty Wellington, IPA or something?
I think it was because we were going for sessions, so it was like that Export 33, that light beer. So.
Yeah. Okay, so
if we were going for craft beer, we would in no way would any hunting have been done the next morning besides die.
Yeah. And do you make the most of that scene in Wellington? That you've got no shortage of craft beers in Wellington.
I was enjoying it for a bit, and then it just got a bit much. It's like, I get it. You found hops. Let's calm down. You don't need to put so much in.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just look at how much you're measuring. You don't just have to guess and just go, that'll be fine. It's just too much. I just want a plain, slightly interesting lager that makes you go, oh, okay. Yeah. Rather than, oh my gosh, you're driving. Here's the keys.
Yeah, I've had a can, and I can't drive anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Mate, so where are you guys at with the website and in app mode yet, or not quite?
We're not. We need, at the point where we're at right now is we're looking for funding.
Yeah.
We've spent quite a bit on it already to get it to this point, because there's so much more on the back end that we've sort of, everything we've built is on the assumption that we would keep progressing. So we kind of, we haven't done as much, so with the back end is a bit, the database is better managed.
Yeah.
Realistically, we're just looking for funding. We're looking for, even we've gone to looked for angel investors. That hasn't really gone anywhere. So now we're sort of going for, hey, can we be the people that build these, fishing game, to tell people where to go hunting or how to collect data for DOC and for tar hunters, but also for all hunters, and to have it so that it's their intention form. So if we can get those sort of over the line with fishing game and DOC, then you'll probably see a bit more progress on it. And we've got a lot that we want to do. It's just the funding is just what's really holding us. So we've now tried to go into pest management, to like go out and cull animals for people so that we can get a little bit more income on that way to spend on the site. So that's really where we are.
Yeah. And so what do you think the value in that intention form is? That just so you don't have the circumstance like you guys, you come across 2 more hunters?
Well, so it's more, so the duck hunting, how we saw it is, for duck hunting, we wanted it so that when I, as a non-ballot holder want to use that My Mine, I would book that My Mine.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to that My Mine and check in at that My Mine. And then everyone knows that I'm at that My Mine, because that works twofold. Because A, someone's not going to go out and walk to them. And B, you can then plan. Well, if I know that someone's on that My Mine, then I can go to that My Mine, because so that we can spread the birds around.
Yeah.
So we're not all clumped into a single area. We can spread ourselves out better to move animals around. For intention forms, it's more coming back to planning out my trip, sharing it with someone else, and then if I go missing, the authorities know where to start looking.
Yeah.
And we'd also want to sort of plug into that and say, what sort of clothing would the person be taking, so that we can like how long could they survive if they've got whatever clothing or whatever gear. We can have an idea of, do they have an EPIRB? Do they have what sort of gear they're taking with them? Because then they could really help how much resources or how quickly police or authorities need to respond.
Yeah. And I guess, it's hard to say, because there might be the situation where they haven't been able to set off the EPIRB, but then it also might be the situation where, like you say, they've got the gear, they've got the skills, they might have an animal, and so they're just happy to survive it out and make it out of the bush. And so, like you say, yeah, it's tough. It's a tough one, especially when it comes to somebody's life. But as you say, if they've got an EPIRB, you know the area, you know where they intend to go, then it could save, this could save a lot of time.
I mean, there was a Danish chap went out tar hunting by himself this year.
Yeah.
And he didn't activate his EPIRB, and he fell off and he died.
Yeah.
And it took ages for them to find him. I think another hunter stumbled across him. Now, if he had planned his trip out and shared it with someone, and when he went missing, they could have gone, this is what he said he was going to do, rather than he's gone to the Rumatukas, which is, it's massive. Okay, well, where do I start? Rumatukas is gargantuan.
Yeah.
But if I know that he's at longitude X and latitude Y, that's where I start. That's where I land the helicopter and start looking there.
Yeah. And like currently, what I do is I send the road in to my girlfriend, and then send the hut or the location to my girlfriend, and then there's at least somewhere to start.
So
but
we can do it on Hunting Spots. Go and jump in and make an account. It's not as user friendly, so there's a couple of videos on our Facebook page on how to do it. But go in there, make an account, make a trip, and then start planning it out, and then hit the share button, and then send her the URL, because then it changes the URL ever so slightly so that it's a shared URL. And boom, there you go. Now she has
your intentions.
Plan home, your intention of where you're going to go, and what time you're going to be there, and what time you want to be out.
Awesome, man. Yeah, that's it's going to be 4 days or so. So yeah, I'll do that. That sounds so much fun. Yeah.
If you get stuck, just hit me up, because it can be a bit tough, but I do all my hunts. I plan all my hunts as well. I should, it's my service.
Yeah.
So even if I always send it to my wife and my mom and my dad, and so everyone knows.
Yeah. And could you just make that like public? Like, hey,
if you want to do.
Yeah, like, so I could say on Facebook, this is where I'm going. I don't care. Yeah.
Exactly, you can do that. As soon as you hit share, it changes ever so slightly, and now it's you do it as you wish. It's yours.
Awesome, man. That's cool. Mate, what would be the perfect scenario for you guys? Like you say, working with being the intermediary would be great. Hunters are going to you, and then authorities are coming to you for the data. Would you say that?
Yeah, pretty much. We would want to be the intermediary where hunters can trust us and Doc can trust us, where they don't trust each other. I don't personally. We're still trying to figure out like how we would want to share information. Like, do we share pinpoint information, or do we make it within a sort of area? So if I shoot it at this location, do I say within a 10-meter or 100-meter sort of circle of that is where I will put the dots, so that doesn't matter really where within that dot it is, but if it's within 100 meters, I mean, it's not going to give you a spot away. It's still in that area, and that doesn't really matter. So it's still accurate.
Mm.
So that's sort of where we want to be, is where we help collect the data. We allow people to make the decision and give an informed decision of when they want to share the information and make it worth the person's while.
Mm. Yeah, no, I can definitely see like what you're saying about that platform, and if you and your mates are hunting a similar area, building on it and creating a scene, how valuable that would be. And then at the other end of it, it can be that proof for us that, hey, this is what we're doing as a hunting, in these areas, not this point, in these areas, this many animals have been taken,
Yeah.
and it's not by there's things called privacy out there. People need to understand that it's not by Joe Blogs. That place he goes to, that's right there. it's hunters in this who belong to the hunting spot have shot these many animals in this area, and so that's the contribution to that area. And then obviously, if all hunters, say it was across the NZDA or say it was across the Seeker Foundation, it was like, this is the Seeker Foundation memory bank, members bank. Sorry, this is what we've done. Amazing, and then we can say, that how we always say that most of the deer are shot by hunters. Here's the numbers.
Yeah, I mean, we can have against a reference number. We can have a vague location of where it is, not the pinpoint. We can have the photo. We can have the reference. We can have the encrypted data of the longitude and latitude and the time taken. And yeah, boom, done.
Yeah, and that's the sort of the macro of it, isn't it? The micro is the individual user, and the macro is that here's the general data, and here's what we're doing, and here's the resource.
Because no one wants to give up. To be honest, no one wants to give up their hunting spots. There's no way in hell I'm going to give up my hunting spots. I'd say I can happily say Akatara because I know it's gargantuan.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to try and stumble around there for a spot, good luck.
Yeah.
Be sure to plan your hunt out first and take an EPIRB, because it's just you're not going to find. So it's no one's going to give up their spot. They've got to make it worth their while. And yeah, we want to be that company that does it. And I think we're realistically the only company trying it, doing it.
No, that's cool, man. It's interesting you're saying, again, going back to it, the sort of outdoor stuff. While I was on the hunting and shooting forum the other day, there was plenty of people having a chat about leaving stuff in the bush. I think what the advantages of making it out of the bush is that, like you say, it grows over. Whereas these guys are talking about bearing a bucket or a drum or something in the bush.
Yeah, I've got mates that do that.
Yeah, but then of course there was the obvious statement that, hey, that's essentially littering. Like,
yeah.
Littering
with intent. I mean,
yeah. And then also plenty of people had this stuff nicked as well. So there was a safety issue with that if you are going in there skint, be prepared that it's not going to be there.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, rather build something that can grow out of trees and rocks. I'd say a lot of people wouldn't even notice it because
Yeah.
If it's in a spot, yeah. I mean, I know plenty of people that go out and they'll take big boxes with them and toilet paper, beans, lighter fluid, etc., and little gas cookers, and they'll leave it out there. You're welcome to do that. I'm not doing that.
No. And it takes one big trip, or if you're lucky enough to take a chopper in there, it takes one big trip, and then for the sake of a lighter trip. But yeah, like I said, it's the risk of getting in there and not having it, which would be the big bummer. But then, and that's where another thing of learning these sort of bushcraft skills could come in handy again.
Oh hell yeah!
Yeah. Did you do any sort of scouting or anything as a youngster, or it was just always on the farm?
I'll be honest with you, I was a big fat nerd that sat in front of a computer playing computer games most of the time.
So how did your old man get you out to go shooting?
I mean, I was just because it was really fun at the time. I really enjoyed thrashing around with the utes and shooting little animals, and then go shoot some springbok, and then that's sort of died down for a bit in my late teens, early 20s, and then I started wanting to do it more and more and more as I got older. And as soon as I hit New Zealand. I was like, this is what I'm doing. I don't feel like playing computer games all the time, and I need something that's a healthy hobby and a healthy lifestyle to go out and do.
Yeah. And do you think in part of that is that your job now is in front of the computer, so you want to do it, get as far away as you possibly can?
That's a good point. I mean, in South Africa, my wife and I used to be journalists, so
Yeah.
we were always out and about and running around and covering riots or going to murders or going to the courts or all that good stuff. And now I'm sitting in front of a computer saying, "Can you turn it off and on again?" Or, you know, it's much more. It's much more than that. But yeah, I think it's a good point. Yeah, it's just you spend too much time in front of a computer and you start like even now sitting on. I went and bought this big fancy gaming computer because I was like, I can't be hunting all the time. I've got to be hunt. I don't even do anything on it. I just hunting spots and I write an article or browse the internet or watch a movie.
No, it's good screen though for watching a movie. You said about the environment of South Africa and reporting on it. How much did that sort of play on your psyche? I'm a massive fan of the book Tribe, and Sebastian Younger. He wasn't fighting, but he was there witnessing it. Got PTSD, and plenty of his crew had that, and unfortunately lost one of his mates and who was over reporting. Like, how much of reporting on bad stuff played on you?
I mean, we've seen plenty. I mean, Sebastian Younger. I haven't. The Blitz. Oh, okay. We did crimes and that sort of stuff. We didn't do crimes. We covered crimes. And I did cover a mass shooting once, and I've seen plenty of dead bodies and people killed and burned alive and suicides. And, I mean, it does affect you, and you'll never forget it. You can always picture it straight away in your mind's eye. I'm a bit more careful, and now now that I know the outcomes of what happens, like I know what the outcome is when someone speeds on a motorbike, because I've gone helping the police trying to find body parts after someone was hit with a motorbike and exploded and just scattered himself over a large area, or heard her mother screaming as her child smashed his head into the ground and he fell off the back of a car and was killed, or had seen heard wailings of families after their children were killed. I mean, I'm a bit more careful, and I take a bit more to heart of how quick and how sudden things can happen.
Yeah. And was that what motivated you guys to come out here, or like?
We wanted to have a family.
Yeah.
No way for us to either get anywhere in our careers and there, and that's why we wanted to have a family. So we came to New Zealand. It was the perfect place to come.
Yeah. And growing up, did you sort of live in compound setup, or?
So that's a funny story. Because my wife and I originally moved here in 1987.
Yeah.
And I grew up my formative years on the North Shore in Auckland. And then
That's a classic.
And then the family moved back in 1995 to South Africa, and we stayed there. And I got into high school, and worked as a journalist. Met my wife, and her and I moved out in 2012. So my family are now back out here in New Zealand. My sister's here. My in-laws are here. And so we've got one little boy, and we've got another boy on the way. And so
yeah, man. That's what was it like getting the family out there, especially, and that's what Alex and I have found, having a wee girl and being isolated from family. How awesome was it to get both sides of the family out to New Zealand?
Oh, it's awesome. It's just they love it because they get to spend time with their grandchildren and see them being actually part of the family. And so it's made life a lot. Well, it's easier. It's not as it sounds selfish. It's more you want to think of it as say that child gets a full experience of growing up. Growing up is not just about mom and dad and TV. It's about going to granny and grandpa's house, or getting spoiled, and granddad, or as my son calls my wife's parents as Nanny and Bump, and my parents Oma and Opa.
Yeah.
So and having that experience with your grandparents is really important, and I think that's what's good about it. They get that full experience.
Yeah, man. We just had my partner's mum here the last 5 days, and yeah, Billy's absolutely loved it. And unfortunately, this morning she was calling out for Nana and Nana and Nana. Luckily, she's going back there next week. But mate, is that what sort of took you guys back to South Africa? Did you have your grandparents around, or what was the story for you, man?
My grandparents were here. My grandparents from on my mother's side moved out to New Zealand. When we moved back, they also moved back because they just wanted to be with us.
Lovely.
My dad's and my dad's parents were here and were there in South Africa. So, yeah, we moved back because we thought, well, with the fall of apartheid, we thought things would be different, but they weren't.
Yeah. And so like, is New Zealand a lucky country? Do you feel that like a lot of people take that for granted? Like obviously it's what you're exposed to, but what you know, it's a tough thing because everyone's experience is different. But do you wish people realize just how good things were?
I think the only way to realize it is to have gone through something not like it.
Yeah.
So when you look at most South Africans will want to put their head down, do what they need to do to get citizenship so they can look at so that their family will be looked after. New Zealand is so lucky and so fortunate, and that's why when I know personally, and I don't know about others, is when I see things that I'm concerned about or have seen the outcome of a train of thought followed through to its full extent back in South Africa that people talk about here, I worry because I'm like, I know where this ends. I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah.
And so I hope, if anything, I just want New Zealanders to keep moaning. I just want, that's all I want is New Zealanders to keep moaning and keep being difficult and keep saying, up yours, we're not going to do it like that.
Yeah.
That's really what I want to see. Keep being New Zealanders and don't let that go. Don't try and be an American or a Tom or some amalgamation of both. Be a New Zealander who moans and whinges and holds people to account, and then moan some more. It's beautiful. If you don't do that, if you don't moan, and you may make a nuisance of yourself. Bad things happen.
Yeah.
That's my point of view.
I think the moaning does come from the Poms, but you know, it's a good part.
That's a different
Well, mate, this has been a bloody awesome chat, and I hope it highlights to the listeners, and it's even highlighted to myself what the hunting spot's all about, and I will go ahead and plan out this hunt that I'm going to go on, and like I say, share it, in more, because it's going to be so much more detail for them, and they're going to have a real understanding, and I will share it on Facebook, so if anybody through the Waikato page, so people will be able to follow along if they really care or want to. But yeah, I think it's awesome, and I do hope that some sort of funding comes through, and that can go into some sort of app-based thing, because I can, from an individual, the micro level, I can see massive value in that, and then at the other end, it's something that's frustrated me, and talking with the guys, and also frustrates them, is that from a macro perspective, we say what we're doing because we know each other and what we do and our relationship with the bush and with the animals, but when you don't have the data to back it up, it's hard to stand on it. And that's exactly what Joseph Peter was saying about the tar thing. People complaining about that. Oh, I don't want to give away where I shot the thing. It's like, well, do you want them to shoot it, or do you want to shoot it? So you got to use the macro data to say, hey, this is what we do, and I think that's awesome, man.
I thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. I'm really grateful that you reached out and we can have a fat chat. I really appreciate it.
Awesome, man. So what I usually do is get people to leave us with something, maybe a quote that you live your life by, or an idea that sort of doesn't do you wrong, that even if you're in a tough time, you think about this and it carries you forward. What sort of guides your life, or even if another option would be if you could ask the audience a question and they could contact you on the Facebook page with your answer.
That's a loaded question. I mean,
well, of course.
back back in South Africa, my go-to was like when I was disillusioned or amazed or confused, or was like Africa Wins Again, which is a recommendation for a book would be Banana Sunday.
Yeah.
Great book, you'll love it. Also by a journalist. And if I could ask a question um, of hunters, is like, well, what do you want hunting supposed to be? I mean, how can we make it better for you? But then that sounds really trite. I don't like it actually. I mean, there's nothing. Yeah, we'll share more time to think about this. I mean, really, if you want to learn how to hunt, if you want to hunt, you just got to get in the bush and you got to go green.
Yeah.
And as soon as that's go green.
Nice. I like that. That's what I've been doing. Trying, failing, learning. It's awesome, man.
Because,
cool.
I mean, I'm a green hunter. I mean, most people are green hunters. You can be hunting for every day for the rest of your life, and you still be green.
Awesome, man. I'll hit stop there, and yeah, thanks so much.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.